So I am 34 and I am starting this YouTube channel way too late. I get that. For tons of reasons, which I'll be talking in this video, to address something that's really annoying me on YouTube, the mindset advice. Honestly, I think it's garbage and it leads to nowhere. It's not that useful. It's not that mindset does not exist. Of course it does. It's just these videos assume that the floor is already there. There is a room for you to think, arrange thoughts, and adapt new perspectives and thoughts. For most people, that's not the case, okay? I'm going to be talking about my story here so you can see for yourself that you are not alone in this struggle, and most likely this is not a mindset problem as it is sold on YouTube. All right, let's start with what this advice actually does. The mindset advice that tells you that you don't want it hard enough. You're not willing to sacrifice for it much enough, right? It erases the circumstances around you. It's saying that you're not hungry enough, ignores the fact that you are probably young adult. You just went out of your parents' house, or maybe you're in your parents' house, and you have this pressure to succeed, to make it out, and to be adult and responsible and living for yourself. So you may not have phone, you may not have room to do whatever you want to do, you may not have laptop, you may not have time, and maybe you left your hometown, your home country, and then you're starting over somewhere else. So these are logistic problems that can stop you from creating, can stop you from starting your own business. And unfortunately, in this mindset advice, it's repackaged as character flaws, as you is the problem. Let me tell you something about me, okay? I worked for my most of my adult life. Like I left my home country and came to a new country, and I was living in these houses where like 6 other guys are living with you in the same house. I don't know what you call them in English, but that's where I was, right? And getting a job in a new country is extremely difficult, but I adapted and I became at a better spot, and COVID hit us. During the COVID thing, I was doing like beats and stuff like that. And while some creators talk about how they made it out in COVID and became millionaires and they got out of poverty because of the mindset, honestly, I sold my phone. Now, you can talk all day about borrowing a phone from friend and finding a way to do that. We already know this repetitive bullshit. I want you to call your friends and tell them that you want to use your phone and to do records with them all day, every day. Or do it 3 times a week. Or do it once a week. Okay? That friend will be annoyed and eventually he will hate you. And will you actually succeed as you imagine on YouTube? Most channels don't, and you probably tried to do it yourself. I've been trying the YouTube thing since 2022. Okay, so I got some skin in the game, and I can confidently say that sometimes it just doesn't fucking work. So in COVID, I had to sell the phone. I got into bankruptcy, and this is not just my attitude. It's not that the way I was thinking about it was negative, or it was simple math. I need money to eat. It's as simple as that. You cannot think your way out of a room. You cannot afford to leave. I barely have the roof over my head. I barely can eat. I can barely, even if I found the job back then, I wouldn't have been able to work at it because I don't have the money to go make an interview in the first place. That's how broke I was. And me and my friend, we were living together back then. And I was extremely lucky that he got a sugar mommy, right? He's extremely handsome. And if it wasn't for that, we would have starved, literally. But yes, sometimes it is a lack of ambition that you see in some people. That's true. But honestly, most of the people who listen to the advice have jobs already, and they are working, and they want to upgrade their life. They want to achieve financial freedom. They want to support their family members, stuff like that. Most of the time, you're probably like me as well. You are only 2 paychecks away from fully collapsing into bankruptcy. Like most people live from paycheck to paycheck. That's not a secret anymore, and it's not a shocking statistic. So when we talk about going all in, and follow your passion, following your passion here requires leverage that you probably don't have. It requires time, it requires money, it requires safety in case everything just doesn't work. Most people have none of that shit. And sometimes you find the hard way that when you go all in, you may collapse this shit may not work and you're just gonna go back to the job market. It happened with me. I quit my job at McDonald's back in 2019 before the COVID, and I went all in, right, on learning video editing and video effects on Adobe After Effects and stuff like that. Like I went all in exactly as advised, and I failed. And after this collapse, I had to work at a job that I really hate. I worked in this hotel as a receptionist, and like I had this cocky boss who doesn't know how to talk to people. It was just a humiliating month that I had to endure just because I went all in, you know? So that's how you learn to adapt your expectations, because long-term survival is pattern recognition. You know what happens if you go all in without being fully safe, without considering that you may fail. And let's not pretend that going all in guarantees the result and it's just a matter of time. What you see on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok is just survival bias. It's the 1% who made it. It's the people who tried and made it. You don't see the people who tried and collapsed and disappeared into double shifts. You don't see those. You see the ones who made it and who are happily receiving sponsorships and having paid communities and successful coaching business. That's what you see. But the majority don't make it. And there are tons of statistics that supports this. So survival mode here is an accurate reading of the situation. The unnatural event is that you succeed on YouTube or on Instagram or on TikTok or on Snapchat or whatever. This is statistics. This is not a mindset problem. If everyone thought that I want to do it bad enough and I'm willing to sacrifice for it, everybody would have done it already, don't you think? Do you think the people in extreme poverty have a mindset problem? And I'm not talking about, oops, I forgot to pay the electricity bill this month, poverty. I mean actual poverty. I mean not being able to have a roof over your head. But the problem is not only in discomfort, it's also in comfortable setups. Let's say engineer, doctor, lawyer, like these titles, right? The society looks up to. I mostly work with doctors in my job, and I can confidently tell you that most of these highly paid jobs, they bend under financial pressure, regardless of principles, regardless of morals, regardless of anything, because there are obligations here. Don't think that just because someone is a doctor, then they have more flexibility. It's actually the other way around. It's because the position is rarer, therefore it pays better, and therefore the doctor has to even be more vicious at protecting his position. The lawyer has to be more vicious at protecting his client's portfolio and keeping their reputation. And so scarcity here narrows thinking. What the doctor is going to do in this case? He will do one thing. He will narrow thinking to tasks he can do and then move on. That's it. And under these conditions, thinking outside the box and thinking for yourself and doing your own thing is just very unwise decision. Because when you lose your title as a doctor once, then it becomes extremely hard to get it back. The same thing for engineer, the same thing for programmer, the same thing. Every high-paying job has the same risk, technically. And so you cannot really think outside the box in this situation because every move is extremely risky. So what's the solution here, really, if it's not mindset? Well, it's money, honestly. It's not that money itself is the purpose, but it's a tool. Money here is a good tool. It gives you room to arrange thoughts, to adapt perspectives, to think outside the box. Yes, it's not glamorous, but when you have enough safety nets, when you have enough to rely on, you can buy the quiet that you need to actually think, right? It's not that money gives you answers. It just gives you the quiet to look for answers. Then mindset follows. Then when you want to adapt a philosophy, when you want to rearrange your thoughts, then when you want to do anything, then you can actually do it. But before that, honestly, if you have an off-the-grid job that you're considering taking, if you have an off-the-grid business you want to get into, if you want to do something online, like for me, personally, I'm doing this YouTube thing right here. And I am hopeful. I want to make it here so I can get my financial freedom, so I can actually survive this horizontal anxiety, the constant thought that you need to pay rent, pay bills, pay someone, pay something. I want to turn this sound off for a little bit so I can think and focus and do what I want to do, regardless of how much money I have. So for now, ignore the mindset advice when you are more financially comfortable later on and see how it can help you. Okay? That's it for me in this video. Stay safe and take care.